I began my gap year in October of 2025. Before then, I had a full-time job. And before then, I was seated in classrooms all my life. So, in a sense, this year has been my first full-time pause in the world, and my first escape from the intense current of society's river. Like any major life decisions, I was whispered instigations by my surroundings. The world became too overwhelming. The initial path I chose for myself was too terrifyingly overbearing. I realized I needed to rethink my life choices, to collect myself. How did I place myself here? How was I dreading my day every single day? I took my meager savings from that full-time job and said farewell. I was determined to find some answers. I embarked on a truly unglamorous gap year. I was not traveling and backpacking across France, Germany, Switzerland, Italy. I was too financially terrified for that. I was not volunteering on organic farms in Hawaii, or working in a wildlife shelter in Vietnam, or apprenticing myself to artists and craftspeople in Brazil, nor could I consider working a glamorous job in a glassy office building in New York or London or Paris. I was too unqualified for that. Instead, I sat in my small, carpeted room in suburbia and journaled endlessly. I filled up 2 A5 moleskin journals and 6 inserts in Louise Carmen-style medium leather journals. Along the way, I learned how to bind my own journals, and I'm currently writing in journal number 4. I went to free poetry workshops for 2 months, hosted in a beautiful sandstone classroom. I attended ceramic studio lessons haphazardly and inconsistently, but nevertheless came out with many pieces instilled with wabi-sabi. I took hour-long train rides into the city and discovered intimate cafes with street views, bookshops that housed indie publishing firms for old poets, and delicious brothy hole-in-the-wall restaurants. Not many peers were on this timeline of mine, this odd schedule of freedom during the workday. I did not have many voices to converse with, presences to share my meals with, and most of all, in those moments of unrelenting gray, I faced my thoughts alone. And through my own eyes, the symbols of adulthood, a car, a beautiful sunny studio apartment in a beautifully historic city, traveling to new and exciting ecosystems, professional cashmere sweaters, and leather work bags seemed to be drifting ever farther away. The second miasma of this gap year was waiting. I waited for new seasons to arrive, for the pool to open, for rain to finally come to an end. I waited for family members to announce their homecoming with a jingle of the door, for my lease to end, or the conclusion of friends' work so that we could have dinner together each month. I waited for government bureaucracy, for academic bureaucracy, and waiting, I came to realize, was its own form of powerlessness. I was not in control if I was the one sitting there, in my dim, gray box apartment, waiting. In moments of solitude, of existing in the in-between, I went on long walks in nature. I applied for graduate school. I watched lecture series for classes that I hoped to one day take. I swam in large pools. I listened to cats purr on my chest. I compulsively scrolled on TikTok, on YouTube, on Pinterest. I shopped online. I learned Japanese on Duolingo. I filled my bullet journals with sleep trackers and exercise trackers and inane little to-do lists. I knitted. I enjoyed the doctor's office visits that I could finally have time to go to, and the doctor was someone I could converse with. I discovered that I had dust mite allergies and a sensitivity to a particular corticosteroid medication. I saw family members that I rarely had the chance to see. I read dozens of books, especially about young women seeking their way in the world, and I eventually tired of those narratives. The answers they held did not seem to match my own. I began to think about what my answer truly is. I chastised myself for not being brave enough to confront my natural desires, and instead for minimizing them in order to navigate this human-built world. That was embodied in my old job, the choices I made. But I also chastised myself for having desires in the human-built world at all. Slowly, I realized they could coexist. I met people who were doing it. Over the course of many months, I gathered these adults, like a crow collects shiny pebbles, and I put them into a basket named role models. I was accepted into grad school. I found a sunny studio apartment in a beautifully historic city. I inherited a beat-up old car. I stumbled my way through shadowy halls to create a vision of the future that sang to both sides of my desires, the natural inclinations I was born with and the desires the world prodded me to explore. I'm still fumbling. I still walk in nature. I still swim to feel the weightlessness of my body and disappear into salty water. On some days, the loneliness inevitably creeps in. On others, I cannot verbalize my dreams, for fear they will evaporate into mist and never take on their final forms. But I feel stronger now in knowing myself. I no longer feel that I'm waiting for the wind to release its blessing onto me, a passive party. Instead, I feel the world waiting for me to bring my own magic into its atmosphere.